Right, if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Friday, reaching you from our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria, and Enterprise Television it is. Now let's go to our main conversation for today. It was the valediction for Nigeria's retiring Chief Justice of the Federation, but it was also one event that threw up a major talking point we find worthy for conversation. Now, Nigeria's Minister of Justice and Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi used the occasion to warn against any attempt to change the government undemocratically, stating that only the ballot can effect change as prescribed by the Constitution.
Very true. He also emphasized that treasonable acts will be dealt with according to the law. Fagbemi also committed to upholding citizens' fundamental rights while ensuring that no individual or organization breaches those rights.
Very true. And also he highlighted the government's effort to modernize the justice sector, including a 300 salary increase for judicial officers.
Having said that, meanwhile, retired Chief Justice Kayode Ariwoola called for measures to reduce the backlog of cases at the Apex Court, citing access to justice as a major contributor to delays.
Ariwoola retired after reaching the mandatory age of 70. The question, or shall we say fear, of an extra constitutional change of government has been on for a while now. But what exactly is the substance to it? With us today to do justice to this very important subject, we have joining us very truly Dr. Victor Ohai, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. And with us in the studios, we have Cyril Abaku, a journalist and a public affairs analyst, and Barrister Evans Ofedi, a barrister of law and public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Pleasure.
All right, so let's get into the crux of the matter here. And of course, there we have it. The issues, of course, regarding the retired Chief Justice of the Federation and all that he had to say. But I'd love to ask you, Dr. Victor Ohai, do you think this is very commendable, especially as regards what we have today in our country, where someone who had done his best is asked to go, and we have a new face taking over the mantle of leadership?
Truth is, he has no choice in the matter. So there's nothing to comment about it. There is a laid down rule for when you should retire. He cannot sit tight there, and he cannot, change anything. So there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing commentable. Soldier come. He has played his part. He has reached the age. He should leave the stage for the next person to take over. And it doesn't make any difference to me, one way or another. It's a normal process. So I'll comment.
Can you hear me, Dr. Victor?
The ability, I don't know about commenting, I didn't want to add, and they willingly let. I can hear you.
Okay.
You can't hear me.
Yes, yeah, you can.
You didn't hear everything I
No,
said.
Yes,
we
we
did,
did.
we did.
We did.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So thank you so very much.
I'm talking about how am I being commendable because he retired? That's a question.
Yes, exactly. I was asking you what you think about it first off before we get into other issues.
About it. They didn't have a choice. Soldier come, it was his turn. You should leave the office for the next person to take over. That's what happened, so it's normal.
All right.
So there's nothing to commend him for, or anybody.
It's very true. But let's get into other issues, of course, that like we just learned. The government is coming to say that the change of government won't be tolerated, that whatever it is or whatever grievance that those who think the government of the day is not doing right, they should wait and have it through the ballot. Cyril Abaku, do you think there's something that Nigerians do not know that those in authority are scared about?
There has to be, excuse me, there has to be. Because if you, anybody who has read history or who understands politics and governance, there are only two ways change of regime can be effected when it's done by the ballot. One is by military coup d'etat. The other is by revolution. Revolution, we've seen what happened in Sri Lanka some years ago. We've also seen what happened in Bangladesh some weeks back. We saw what happened in the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia in 1917 that brought Lenin and Co to power, Leon Trotsky and Co to power. So those are popular uprisings, as they call them. The people move, push back the police, push back the army, chase the government out, and then take over.
Yes.
So that's one. I mean, I think something similar also happened in Italy, brought Benito Mussolini to power. So those are understandable. Then coups, of course, we've seen coups happen. For those of us on this table, arguably you've lived through military governments in this country. So those are the two known methods. Now, the conversation around a change of regime, I mean, we really shouldn't be talking about that now, in fact, it's after a straight course with democracy. But we are back, and it looks to me that government has been the one that has consistently raising this topic.
Why do you think so?
I honestly can't tell. Now, the minister of, we could have been talking about, we could have just left the discussion around judicial reforms, what are able to achieve as CGN of Nigeria, what direction the country should be taking, reforms, jurisprudence, and things like that. But the Minister of Justice, who is a member of the executive branch, now raised the issue. The other time he was talking about local government autonomy. He was talking about INEC organizing elections for local government areas. He could have picked any other area of law that could be reformed. But he now chose to pick, because of course, even if he said every other thing, and he said this is the one that editors will pick you as headline, which means I can't say he said it in passing. This is clearly what he wanted to say. He said that any change will not be tolerated. It means that there has been a conversation. You know what I mean? It means that yes, there has been a conversation to weigh the possibility of such a thing happening. And that they've said, no, we can't. Of course, no government will sit back and say we're going to accept or tolerate such a thing from happening. It is, especially if you survive it. Because if you did intend to be another kettle of fish entirely.
Yes.
I, for one, sitting back here, I will tell you, I believe in democracy. Our current president is a Democrat. He's a sponsor of democracy. He is a thinker of democracy. In fact, those who have worked closely with him, that he breathes, sleeps, and dreams democracy. Okay? Especially not looking at the role he played in the Juncker saga and everything put together. He's a Democrat through and through, and we give it to him. But my only concern is that in Nigeria today, and this is something anybody can verify, there's democracy, but there is no democratization. That's another thing entirely. Democratization, I'm talking about building institutions and creating awareness that makes people to buy into democracy and practice democracy as we practice. Look at how we tell people that came out to protest against food insecurity some weeks ago.
Yes.
It didn't quite look like we're in a democratic state. So when the democratic space is shrinking, and that shrinking is at the instance of those whose duty it is to bear the torch for democracy, and they are now the ones who are now speaking as if they're defending democracy, but at the same time appear to undermine democracy, it becomes a paradox that one finds difficult to reconcile. Where then do we place them? Are they the true defenders of democracy, or they only talk democracy when it's convenient for them? So that is really the paradox. And then to answer your question very directly, I don't think anybody anywhere is sitting down to talk about how to truncate democracy. Before Bola Tinubu was sworn in as president of Nigeria, you recall the DSS, barrister, they will issue a statement and say they are people are holding meetings in the midnight. They want to effect a change of government. And we said, if you know that they are meeting, you know where they are meeting, you know who they are, and your duty is to come and do, I'm about for Nigerians, instead of going to arrest them. People who consider such a major threat to national security.
Yes.
Instead of you to go after them, you are coming to inform Nigerians. So what are we going to do with information? Okay? That happened like twice or thrice. If you recall, in the speech that former governor of Kaduna, El Rufai, made, when the whole cash redesign saga and the fuel scarcity, he said this thing was artificial. It was deliberately imposed on Nigeria, and that the target was to create an ambience that could set the stage for a change of government in which a retired general was going to be. I mean, this was a revised national state broadcasting Kaduna State. The text of that speech is there. Anybody can see it. He said that this was something that they are planning to set the stage for a retired general to come and go to. That they asked him and bring a retired general to become president, head of state. And I mean, he couldn't get any worse than that actually. So we are now back to that conversation. So if you know any, I can tell you for free. During the protest, they said they were looking for that the people who are going to come out and show face so that they can negotiate with them. Because they didn't know them. Later, they said that they had known them, but by using diplomacy to, I say, okay, if you really know them, you won't be coming to talk diplomacy in a press release. So now, what is the issue? The issue is that if indeed there was such a credible threat, and we know them, there can't be higher treason than that.
There can't be higher treason.
Than that. Treason couldn't be worse than that. But why haven't they moved in to pick them up, perhaps? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And take them for questioning.
All right. Of course, just like we know, the old good saying, there's no smoke without fire. This government is less than 2 years old.
Yes.
And already the fear is there. And I don't know, just like I asked, Cyril Abaku on what he thought about that. I don't know what you think your submission would be in this particular, do you really think there's something that the current administration is scared of, that maybe they need to speak up and maybe take decisive effort to curb?
I think nothing could have influenced this other than the protests. Yes, the last protest. Nothing could have influenced this other than the protests and the high cost of living. Okay? All over the world where there's revolution, there's protests, there's insurrection or mutiny, it springs up from an issue, a burning issue. Cost of living is a burning issue in the country right now.
Yes.
And we have seen the layers of aggression that has created. Okay, so while the protest was ongoing, or before the protest, the government feared that certain persons were sponsoring the protesters to move in the manner they moved in Kenya. Okay, such that they will be able to subdue parliament, subdue the police, subdue the army, and then kick out the president. It has happened in some places, okay, where the protests turned out to be an insurrection and it became so overwhelming that the security forces of the country were unable to tame the citizens. And so they go over. Yes, in recent Bangladesh. And look at what is going on in Haiti now. Okay, so we have cases, and these cases serve as a source of inspiration. Okay, people are watching the world as a global village.
Yes.
So the fear is stemming out from that. Okay, then sometimes they begin to believe that some of the elites too have their hands in it. They start to call P2B, they start to call opposition, they start to call on, like that. It's just, this fear is in their head that somebody may likely want to take over governance through any other means than the ballot. We know the means for which the president can leave office. One is death, impeachment, resignation,
Yes.
election. We know all that, okay? But we are talking about extra democratic means, which might be the military takeover or some other citizens uprising.
Yes.
Uprising that could, topple the situation. So we know that, but now I did not expect the Attorney General of the Federation to come say such, okay, and say that and leave it hanging. In my training as a lawyer, we speak with evidence and reference. We call judicial precedent. You talk and you lay precedent and examples and evidence. Whatever you say that is not tied up to evidence, he that alleges must prove. That's the Evidence Act.
True.
So if you're unable to prove your allegations, it means you have not said anything. In law, we say it goes to no issue. So the Attorney General's expressions and fear yesterday, for me, goes to no issue. Because it sounds like someone who just wants to make heavy weather out of what do you call it? A swearing-in ceremony. Okay? You're making heavy weather out of it by trying to make the president feel good that you are the Attorney General, and therefore you have authority and prerogative to say anyone who wishes to or whatever to use any other means other than the ballot, it will not be tolerated. No government tolerates that, we know it. So why tell us? You should have focused on issues that are important in the nation. If I were the Attorney General, I would have used this opportunity to address the protesters as the chief law officer of the state, or the would-be protesters, the one coming in October 1st. I will use the opportunity to do so and then let them know. Okay, he did that partly, but spoiled it. He said the president had put in this, put in that, put in this. You understand? Yes. Then he used this other one. You see that we haven't forgotten the positive side he talked about, because he used this other one to spoil. So he would have restricted it as the chief law officer of the state. Citizens, these are your rights. This is what government is doing to ensure that your rights is preserved, okay, or are preserved. And this is what the government will keep doing as long as you go back to section 24 of the Constitution. That's where citizens' corresponding obligation lies. Pay your taxes, recite the national anthem, follow, project the country, be patriotic and all that, all in chapter 24. Then government responsibility from section 13 down to section 33. That's where you have government responsibility. So we mirror board and look at it and equalize same, that in the coming months, the government will deepen the conversation to preserve your rights. That's how our Attorney General should speak, address the nation, and then curtail all the likelihood of further protestation. But he blew it up. He blew it up yesterday and all that.
All right, Dr. Victor Hai, I would love to ask, just yesterday in Venezuela, after, of course, the very much contested elections there, Maduro was still elected the fourth time for another 6-year term in office. The judiciary came yesterday to affirm, actually, that he won that particular elections. Of course, the international community is disputing that. Now, when you connect that to what we hear from Attorney General saying this, do you think that this very learned people are taking advantage of the golden or their mischief rule?
I don't render like I did right now, but I will say this. Yes, democracy, if you like, it's somewhere in the vision of the people. And it does not matter whether the vision of the people is right or this is what we want. Permit me to go into the Bible and to go back to Emperor Govt. I tell people, the children of Israel who were being governed by God, they were under a few places. Decided they wanted a democracy, or they wanted their own king. Whether a monarchy or a democracy or whatever. Because even though it was the king to be appointed by God, they just wanted their, like every other nation. God knew that it was not their best nation. But when they persisted, they had no choice. He gave them what they wanted. They did not.
Yes.
Yeah.
He bowed to the wishes of the people. Okay? We have a government that is saying, look, we know what is best for you. The people say this is what they want. Like what they do was present. Remove subsidy, bring down the cost of and blah 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 and all that. And people are saying, no, this is not your best interest. We know what's best. The truth is that you are there at the pleasure of the people. That is what democracy is. I'll come down to Venezuela, but I just want to lay it down. First of all, on the record, I'm a Democrat. I support democracy. I think it's the best form of government. And I believe that the voice of the people is the voice of God. But I also believe that the voice of the people at all times is the voice of God, not just during elections. Okay? The voice of the people at all times is the voice of God. So the voice of the people at the moment is the voice of God at the moment. The voice of the people tomorrow is the voice of God tomorrow. That being said, let me come back to the issue. You see, the fear of family, I just want to come back to the original topic we're talking about. Family, which are in general, is sensing some sort of existential threats to the administration. And as is characteristic of everyone who is benefiting from any administration, you begin to threaten and begin to defend and all that. The government, yes, they have done quite a lot, but how many people know? People in the developmental world know that if you want to do anything well, you must first do a needs analysis. What does that do for you? It tells you, it's like a survey of what the people truly want per time. Okay? You may think that doing roads is the best thing because you break it down fine. But it is only a man who has a car that can fly roads. Is that not true?
Very true.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes.
All the flyovers, and there is no car to fly the roads. It's useless. At that particular point, I remember what I need is fertilizer, so I can grow my crops and yield the bountiful, get the bountiful harvest that I can now use to buy a car. And then my next need, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, my next need now will be one of esteem. After I've survived, then I can now talk about luxury. Oh, I buy a car, then I can fly the roads. Okay? So that being said, what he has said is highly treasonable. Yes, I agree. People should not attempt it. They should wait it until that time. But what I expected to hear is to say, okay, we have heard you people, and then what can we do to soften the suffering of people? I wish you could hear. I speak Hausa very well. I wish you could hear what the ordinary Hausa man is saying in videos that they're sharing across social media. It will scare you.
Mm.
Hunger is real. Let's not deceive ourselves. A lot of people are prospering, but hunger is real. And that is what he's speaking. And that is what they must hear. And that is what they must address. After you have addressed that, then the people will be with you. But I can assure you that if today anything should happen, if the people are hungry and they're not happy with you, there is no democracy behind you. There is none. Because it means that the people are not with you. It is not the votes, the mandate that puts you there. What sustains you is the continuing mandate. If you took your bath January 1 and you don't take your bath today, if they say, have you taken your bath? Well, if you say yes because of January 1, you will stink and smell. And so, the government must take his bath every day, unless a man is born of water and of the spirit. He cannot enter. You must bath every day. You must renew every day. Okay? By hearing the people, giving them what they want on a daily basis. If you don't do that, don't kid yourself, democracy is behind you. Don't kid yourself, majority voted for you. The votes may be speaking, but the heart may not be there. That's why you say a general on the war front. He will move and look behind, there's no troop behind you. He said, but I left you, a battalion. So, but behind you, there's nobody anymore. Because the people are not with you anymore. I think that those around the president, whom I think which may have good wishes for this country, they should tell him the truth. They should support him. Not look at their current state, but go out there and see how people are really feeling. They should stop telling him, don't mind them, they are opposition. These people are, they are bad belly, they are sore losers. In the ancient times, in the old times, medieval times, they had court jesters. It was not for nothing, it was for a reason. So that when the people in the court are lying to the king, the court jester, the king will be hearing the truth from the court jester. The court jester can abuse the king. He will not, he's the only one that can abuse the king. Nobody will arrest him. He's the only one that can tell the king your mouth is smelling and no one can arrest him. He's the only one that can say, king, the people are hungry, they are suffering, and no one will arrest him. This administration needs court jesters. Call them whatever you want to call them. But if you want to stay long, you want to do the right thing, you need to listen to what people are saying, not what the people around you are telling you, Mr. President. As for Venezuela, that is a recipe for disaster. Maduro may be there, but if the people are not with him, their hearts are not with him, I doubt that he will finish that his tenure of 6 years. And if there's a coup, I promise you, people will go out into the street because the majority are not with him, they will support the coup party. Whoever the people support, that is the democratic choice of the people. It happened in Niger, it happened in Mali, it happened in Burkina Faso, it happened in Venezuela. That's what I want to say.
All right.
Thank
You're breaking the table here. But let's.
Okay, so I'll come to you here on this one. Now let's look inward into the Nigerian judiciary.
Yes.
It has been tagged that Nigerian judiciary system is the most corrupt in the country, where Nigerian judges have been identified as big recipients of bribes and kickback. So, and a kickback. What's your take on that?
Well, because when justice is subverted, it has a way of adding up to the lack of democracy.
Okay.
How do I mean? Democracy is basically a government of the people, by the people and for the people. Anywhere there's a breach to people's rights,
Yes.
redress is the solution.
Yeah.
And where do you seek redress? Is in the courts. In fact, so important and crucial is the judiciary that under military rule, there's no parliament. You must have a judiciary and you must have an executive arm of government. Yeah, so the judiciary is the place where people can go and vent. Citizens, even companies, foreign investors. Now, the problem we have today is this. I won't speak about last year's elections. That's like another issue. It's related, but I won't talk about it.
Okay.
Where I'm going to is this. When we said, was it just a short that said that we now had billionaire judges and that he was afraid? Billionaire judges. Those have become billionaires.
Yeah, cashing out.
Exactly. They're cashing out. And this has a way of feeding into the narrative that the common man is cut off from the system, that is cut from the scheme of things. You know that it is otherwise called the last hope of the common man. So when he feels alienated from the scheme of things, it is that he will go back and believe that the system is against him. So he becomes an enemy, or he turns his back on the system, or because when the system has turned its back on him, he looks, he is hot, he can't vent, he is hot, he can't seek redress. So what do you want him to do? We have an AGF who now, like Barrister said, instead of addressing the issues that may be giving rise to such sentiments, is attacking people we don't know, is sounding defensive against what we cannot hold on to. Yes, what I mean is this, that why aren't we addressing the issues that may be giving rise to people not caring about? You see, the worst thing won't even be a coup. The worst thing that people, with our say democracy, but people don't believe in what we are calling democracy. They really don't care. You saw the jubilations in Niger and Chad. It is those of us who are at school that are talking democracy. The common man does not care about democracy. He cares about his stomach.
Yes.
He cares about his livelihood. He cares about those basic things. We are the ones who told him that we have read so many books and we have seen that democracy is the best. He said, okay, bring it on. How about democracy? 25 years after, or 9 years after the APC, how many tertiary hospitals are world class? None. How many of our airports are world class? None. How many of our universities are world class? None. So the question is, how is democracy different from where we were before? And so the only place that man can go and seek, the woman can go and seek redress when his rights are infringed upon, when things are not going his way, is also a place where those with fatter pockets are able to get justice. While the last be waiting for him, what do you think he's going to do? He will believe that what you call democracy is just all those people who are wearing wig and tie in courts. The president who is wearing Babariga,
Yes.
and the National Assembly members who are driving big cars and everything. So he will just feel that all of these people together are the same thing, and he doesn't care. It doesn't want it anymore. It is our duty as a society, government, and maybe the media to help to enunciate and create a code, right, of common social norms and behavior that can conduce to making democracy go from just a system to being a lifestyle, if you like. What I talked earlier about democracy and democratization, which we're not doing at all. There's somebody taking charge of helping us to see the beauty of the system, and to encourage us to actually accept and work. What I mean, if this is not working, how much work can we not work into it?
Right.
If on its own it's not even working, what can we do about it?
Yeah, very true. Ambassador Fansufeli, as someone with skin in the game, when we come talking about miscarriage or miscarriage of justice, especially when you know that the man in charge is a plutocrat. How do you think the judiciary can better reform itself to do the job that it has been called to do?
Well, the starting point is the recruitment process. Justice Holmes says a man may live greatly in the law as well as elsewhere, that there as well as elsewhere may find his thought in an infinite perspective as well as elsewhere. He may wreck himself upon life. He may drink the bitter cup of heroism and wear his heart after the unattainable. The judiciary is the last hope of the common man. The function of the judiciary is to ensure that society equalizes opportunity for all. That the judiciary is set up to repress oppression. Okay? To repress oppression and equalize opportunities so that the common man, whom you say he has no name, his wife is not taken away from him by the rich man. His children are not taken into slavery. His farmland is preserved. Okay? And it's not allowed that a rich man takes over his properties and all that. That's why the court exists. Okay? Now, see where the judiciary is failing. First, the judiciary is failing terribly at the recruitment process.
At the recruitment process?
Yes, of getting judges to man courts. There is no merit at that level. This CJN, this outgoing CJN, part of the judges that were sworn in were his children. Okay, and children of other judges who necessarily may not have the passion for the job, but because of scarcity of employment, for want of where to place them, they are made judges. That's where recruitment process, where they are failing. Two, the incursion of politicians into the judicial system. When the salary of judges and judicial workers were increased by 300% recently, at the point where Tinubu signed, the president was signing, we saw Akpabio, we saw all of them standing. The beneficiaries of corruption through the court system were all jubilating. Yes. Akpabio, that is the Senate president now, did not contest that election. The former Senate president, Lawan, did not contest. They went to contest for the president, and they created one nomenclature called placeholder and used that as the conduit for corruption to erode the system. And unfortunately, some judges gave it vent and pass mark. They stamped it. Reproduced these people to us, and now they are part of parliament. So you see why the judiciary is failing. From the recruitment process to the incursion of politicians into the system. And anything that a politician touch, they destroy. They have destroyed everything. The judiciary is the only thing left. But now they have come into that space to habit. Listen, it is only the judiciary that will tell you that you did not win election. Even if you won that election, you will not do anything.
All things being equal.
Yes, you cannot do anything. Now, because they know that, because the politicians, they now know that it is not the people that now determines whether they win or lose election. That it is the court that determines that. If you notice, they are now trying to buy the court over by, they are not interested in the independence of the judiciary. You see that 300%, what they told you and I, because all that in the books, the judiciary, they are supposed to, judiciary and judicial workers are supposed to be in the high echelon when it comes to remuneration.
Okay.
That's because of the nature of their job. For them to be able to take decision without fear and favor, they have to be comfortable.
Yes.
A judge cannot be taking Okada
No.
and you bring election petition of billions for him to preside over and then go back home with Okada. The human soul does not prevail that way. So it is now the responsibility of government to ensure that all they ought to have collected as bribe, the government would have packaged it in the salary so that he need not collect bribe. Because he already had, all it takes, he's insured, his children are insured, they go to good schools,
Yes.
the government buy cars for them, fuel the cars, give them the best condition of service, give them apartments, create everything for them so that they will not be able to long after the lust of the flesh. Unfortunately, with all that, the politicians still find their way in the bosom of the judiciary, sow the seed of corruption. The judiciary help them to water it.
And it's growing.
Then it,
Blows up.
Apollo, God brought the increase.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, what you have is a judicial system that cannot take critical decision. They cannot look at the current president eyeball to eyeball and say, you know what, INEC, what do you call it now? INEC rules
Yes.
for the election must stand. And now because the IRF whatever was not uploaded, because the elections results were not uploaded to the IRF, it is either the election is cancelled or that they address it according to the provision of the Electoral Act. Go back to the polls again.
Okay.
And let INEC now ensure that it works as they are voting, be uploading it. You don't have that kind of INEC that can do that. So what they did was to, they just co-opt themselves with the political party, got gratification, turn around at 4 a.m. They pronounced the president winner before you woke up.
Yeah.
When you woke up, you had lost remedy.
When this
People have protest around 4 a.m.
when this is coming from someone
Yes.
in the system,
Yes.
it means there's fire on the mountain, most obviously. But just before we wind up for today, Dr. Victor Ohai, you heard it from the barrister himself. I do not know whom Nigerians would run to at this point when the judiciary is becoming more panned to politicians and those in authority. Where do you think lies the hope of the common man at this point? Hello, can you hear me? Oh, we can't hear you.
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yes. So if we were to listen to the Attorney General, I think his advice, we would say wait for what you call it now, the elections, so that you can then, take a decision. You can vote out and then speak with your votes. But when you are in a society where votes don't count, what then do you do?
Exactly.
That is what is frustrating Nigerians, where they say, okay, go to court, and then the Chief Justice relations are the ones in the court and the person who said to go to court are friends with the Chief Justice and his family. Or the court people, many politicians now marry their wives, they manage to make them chief justices.
The children.
And they will tell you what they go to court. So at the end of the day, your question is, what should we then do?
Exactly.
As a common man? I really don't know. Maybe all of us should just go into politics. But in any case, if we all go into politics, there are those who right now control the process. What hope do we have? It's a very frustrating thing.
Yes.
If we want to demonstrate, they say we cannot. They isolate us to one corner and say, go to that corner there and make your noise. So I hope they will not make peaceful change impossible. I don't want to say too much, but I hope they will not make peaceful change impossible. That's what dialogue does. You know, when people can talk, if you can listen, and if you can take advice, if you are not arrogant in power, if power has not corrupted you absolutely, then there is hope. But if the request is the case, I have no comments. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Victor.
Yeah. So, your last part in a short serial abaku, especially when it comes to the code of conduct for public officers, when our judges have 300% increase.
Well, I mean, because again, they know how to channel these increases. They don't say where they will not read. They won't do that. There are a lot of issues in Nigeria today that have been reduced to just what money will solve if money is provided for it. But we've stepped back from problems that values can solve, problems that character can solve, problems that there's good reason our schools are meant to produce people that have been trained in character and in learning. But unfortunately, we've lost touch with the capacity and the demand of what it takes to raise a citizen. Who should the Nigerian citizen be? What should be his values? What should be his rights by law and his rights, otherwise by social rights? What should his level of education? What should his orientation? Because that is the first place to address any issue confronting the country. They will tell you that even in leadership, once you have the right man in the place, 50% of problems have been taken care of. Yes, but we're not there yet. And like Dr. Ohai said, we're not praying for the untoward. But the reality is that if you block all other channels of possibility, it means you're looking at another alternative. And that's why the minister came out to frontally attack it. But the question is, attacking it or not, what are the what are the problems? When doctors don't treat symptoms and signs, they treat that's why they say you must take a test
first.
So that yes, they can properly identify what the problem is. Because if you don't do a test, the next question may be a post-mortem, which will not be very good for anybody. So we must go to the root of the issue. What is the problem? I can tell you that everything we're facing in this country today, they didn't come from the sky. They didn't come from the citizens. It came squarely from government. The taking off of fuel subsidies and then the floating of the naira made it to sink because eventually it didn't float. So why government not willing to look inwards and address the issues? When they come and said that they are going to allow people to import food, I knew that thing was it. Now have you heard that the thing didn't cover grains and whatever? We know it is the same old. Spare us the rhetoric and address the issues squarely. That is the way to make people embrace democracy. Otherwise, any action other than that is endangering democracy.
All right. So, Barrister Vance, before we leave, this is your field, right? So, I want to ask, what reforms? There's a song that Senyo Kosu sang back then. He said, "Which way, Nigeria?" So, I want to ask, which way for the Nigerian judiciary in this country for a time like this? Which way, or what are the reforms that you think the Nigerian judiciary should take to move forward?
Now we have a new CJN.
Yes.
So it is the right time to ask this question. The new CJN, of course, you couldn't have become a CJN if you were not in the system.
Yes.
So she understands, or it is presumed that she understands the temperament of the judicial system right now and how that the influx of the politician and the judiciary allowing themselves to be used is the bane of our country. We are here today because some person didn't do the right thing. You see, anytime you blame Bola Tinubu I want you to blame the judiciary. They made it possible for him to become president. Okay. So what should we do? The new CJN should come up with new rules.
Okay.
Okay. And sanitize the recruitment process. And if possible, check through those who have been made judges and those who fall short of qualifications.
And those who do not befit.
Yes, who are not befitting of that job.
Yes.
Should be sent out of that place.
So there's possibility for a derobing.
Of course.
Oh.
We have what we call NJC. Okay? That will look into some of these issues. They are the ones that discipline judges, and they're the one that is an institution of its own. You have to deliver judgment within a specific time after adoption of written address, 90 days. You have to do all those issues. So the NJC should be up and doing. The CJN must ensure that, as the head of the NJC, must ensure that the processes is made clean. Then incoming judges, we should go back to the old rule to ensure that those who are fit in character and learning, and those who are passionate about the calling, and those who are qualified by the number of years put in to practice, are the ones that must be made judges. Okay, so that in like manner it will reflect in the quality of judgments that we'll see henceforth. Okay, you see, the problems are not largely just lawyers. Lawyers have their own problem. But lawyers can be crazy and anything. But once they stand before a judge, they are tamed. Okay? If you go and file application upon application to mislead the court and to slow down justice, the court will slam charges against you. We see that we'll pay costs. You understand? I have paid costs. In fact, there's a cost that was awarded against me because I was not in the court in Asaba on a particular day. Okay. A cost of 400,000 naira was awarded against me. And the judge said I cannot appear before her in the next hearing without paying that. If I come, it's contempt and I'll be committed to prison. So I had to pay that money before I even got to Asaba. Pay the adverse party the money before I got to Asaba. So when we have all those kind of stringent rules, we put people on their toes, then we make the country move forward.
About the stringent rules, before you leave, how is it possible that judges will get 5 million naira every month and possibly remain who they are and deliver fair judgment?
Well, why will it not be possible? Even if it's not up to 500 million.
5 million naira,
yeah, even if it's not up to 5 million, there is the dignity of labor. There's, before man invented money, which is now like the bane of society, it was value that we quantify. You understand? So why it is important that they are comfortable, they should also be informed that the value, the purity of the value and the fidelity of their judgment counts more than any other consideration. And that is what our focus should be. So we should not infiltrate our judicial system and be delivering judgments that are not in tandem with law just because you want to take gratification. It even pollutes the mind, a legal mind. I'm actually very surprised how you read to that level and still have a corruptive mind. Something is wrong somewhere. This isn't just poverty. This isn't just greed. There's something that's wrong somewhere. Perhaps there's no English adjective to quantify it. It's not just greed. Greed couldn't have eroded your learning. I know greed is strong, but it should have limit. You understand? So, I mean, let's do the right thing.
All right. There is, Roberto, there's a very big reason why every nation, every country needs a constitution for itself. So that everyone can respect that, walk in line with that, and of course do what is needed of them. And I think at this point that's what we need in this country, where everyone should really understand their rules and play by their rules. I'd love to say thank you to Dr. Victor Ahai.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for being part of our show today. We truly do appreciate your time. Thank you. Cyril Abaku, thank you so much for being part. Barrister Evans Philip.
Thank you very much.
And Roberta.
Thank you very much, Henry.
Alright, so this is just about the size of our package today.
Yes.
To say thank you to you.
Thank you.
Most importantly, for giving us your time wherever it is you're watching us from around the world. We would love to say thank you, and thank you once more. But please do well to visit our site at enterprisetvnews.com for more information, and like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry.
I am Roberta of BI4.
On behalf of the entire team, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.